Hello, Liverpool fans. Welcome to the Liverpool Report, your go-to source for the latest news, match updates, and transfer stories straight from Anfield. Don't miss out on any of the action. Hit that subscribe button now and stay in the loop with all things Reds. Liverpool are ramping up plans for a huge Champions League last 16 clash against Paris Saint-Germain on Wednesday night. The Reds have benefited from a small break after not being involved in the FA Cup this weekend, following their shock exit at the hands of Plymouth in the last round. Arneslot will be happy to get an extended rest ahead of a massive game in Paris, where his players will be up against a dangerous PSG side under Luis Enrique. As Liverpool build up to the Champions League clash, Mirror Football has broken down all the biggest news around Anfield. While Mohamed Salah continues to enjoy arguably the best season of his storied career, he is no closer to agreeing a new deal with Liverpool, with the player set to become a free agent this summer as things stand. The Egyptian has been a sensation this term and looks likely to guide the Reds to the Premier League title after helping the team go 13 points clear of Arsenal. And some might be surprised that Liverpool aren't desperate to lock him down. But after watching him plunder 30 goals for Liverpool this season and provide 22 assists, Match of the Day pundit Alan Shearer admitted he would be stunned if Liverpool didn't do everything in their power to keep him at Anfield. "I think without a doubt that this is the best version of Mo Salah we've seen," Shearer says, speaking to Betfair. "I said earlier in the season that we should see what happens in terms of a 1% drop in his levels due to his contract situation, but that hasn't happened. On the contrary, he seems to be getting even better and stronger as the season goes on. There's still no word on his contract situation, but I'd be amazed if Liverpool don't sort something out to keep him at least for another year or two." Losing Mo Salah would be huge for Liverpool and the Premier League, because he's an iconic player. Everything he's doing right now seems to result in either a goal or an assist. Even against Newcastle on Wednesday night, Lewis Hall gave him a really good battle, but some of his bits of quality were just superb. He is an icon of the Premier League, no doubt about it. Slot will be wary that a number of his players are walking a tightrope ahead of the game at the Parc des Princes. Going into the match, Ibrahima Konate, Andy Robertson and Harveyelliott are all one yellow card away from a one-game suspension after being cautioned twice. Meanwhile, Alexis Mac Allister is also one card away from being banned, having already served a one-match ban earlier in the season. He is currently on 4 yellow cards in the competition. Slot might be tempted to tinker with his XI as a result to make sure not all of his affected 4 players are in the firing line, in case he ends up losing all of them. The Dutchman also has another possible conundrum with 4 players set to miss the match against PSG. Joe Gomez and Tyler Morton are long-term absentees after undergoing surgery for hamstring and shoulder problems respectively, while Connor Bradley is out. Young defender Amara Nallo will be suspended too, so Slot will be hopeful the 4 at risk of suspension do not add to his problems. Luis Diaz appears to have suggested he sees his future at Liverpool as he attempts to break a Premier League record, which means a lot to him. The former Porto winger has been a key figure in the Reds' title charge this season, scoring 9 Premier League goals amongst a tally of 13 in all competitions, a figure which included a Champions League hat-trick against Bayer Leverkusen. Diaz's ability to play all across the forward line has been utilised by Arne Slot to fine effect this season, and he's often been stationed as the central striker in the Dutchman's system. But while the contract impasse around Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold have garnered more headlines this season, Diaz has just 2 years left on his current deal and isn't amongst the highest earners at Anfield. That situation has led to several links with moves away, with Barcelona most frequently discussed, but Diaz says he has an eye on becoming the Premier League's highest-scoring Colombian player. The 28-year-old is currently on 25 league goals for Liverpool since joining from Porto in January 2022, making him the Premier League's 4th highest-scoring Colombian ever behind Hugo Rodallega, 29, Hamilton Ricard, 31, and Juan Pablo Angel, 44, and he says he wants to overtake them. Now and again, I find out about the stats when people post them on social media, but how nice it is to be getting close to such great fellow Colombian players like Hugo and all the others, said Diaz via the official Liverpool website. It's a real pleasure for me to be right there, close behind them, and I realise that maybe I will catch them at some point. You could say that it's another one of those personal targets that I have, I know that things are going well for me, and I'm in decent form. What I want the most is to keep making history and, first and foremost, that Colombians who come over to England to play really leave their mark. That's key for us all now to give a positive image of our country, just like they all did. Now those of us here are trying to do just that. I'm very happy with that, and we hope to continue doing the same things in future. It takes more than a two-man team to win the Premier League title. As Liverpool close in on domestic football's big pot, there can be no doubt as to the twin pillars propping up the charge to the top. At the back, Virgil van Dijk, and up front, Mo Salah. When you are around full-time professional football, people routinely ask who you fancy to finish on top of the pile, and the response from autumn time has always been the same. Keep that pair fit, and the Reds will be home and hosed. Without either for a significant length of time, the self-assuredness of any team would take a hit. In fact, that point has already been proven. Jordan Pickford's desperate challenge on the Dutch defender saw to that a few years ago. Eventually, the absences of top players seep into results. Nevertheless, the back of this campaign has been broken. Arsenal, suffering from a raft of injuries, have fallen by the wayside. Others were never seriously in contention. Chelsea, still an undercurrent of chaos. And, judging from their display at Villa last week, are way too open defensively to mount any challenge. Nottingham Forest, capable but limited, have been third in the standings for some time. All power to Nuno Espirito Santo. But the weight of pressure has finally told upon Manchester City, fissures turning into cracks. So, this season's isn't a vintage competition. However, two men alone cannot make up a team. One man who appears to go under the radar, but who is becoming increasingly important to arneslot, is Dominik Szoboszlai. If anyone has stepped up to the plate during the past few months, it's been him. He gives this Liverpool side real energy and drive from midfield. He pops up in spaces with his late runs that make a difference, and he's one of the best out there at doing it. The Hungarian international is given the platform by Ryan Gravenberch. At this point, it's interesting to note that Slot knew the 22-year-old defensive midfielder because of their shared time in Holland. The youngster started his career playing in a deep-lying role, but as he grew up, he began being moved about. At this point, Liverpool's boss needs a name check. It's well established that the Reds were looking for a number 6, as people today may baffle you with. The club pursued Martin Zubimendi, lodging a £60 million offer for the Real Sociedad man. Whether Slot turned up at Anfield and put the block on that, saying, "Save your money," we'll never know. The narrative has been that the Spaniard turned the club down, but, according to a contact of mine in the Netherlands, the Reds boss will have known about Gravenberch. He has maintained him in that position, and both he and his midfield partner Szoboszlai have flourished. The blend is similar to that which Chelsea enjoyed when Claude Makélélé did all the dirty work for Frank Lampard a couple of decades ago. There's no way that the England international would have ended his career as that club's all-time leading goalscorer, were it not for others plugging gaps when he strode forward. And if there's one area Szoboszlai may look to improve next term, it's in his goals output. So far, his career has been characterized by a 1 in 5 strike rate. There is no reason why, given the timing of his runs, that should not be improved. After all, he's still just 24 years old. Time is on his side. If there has been one criticism, it's that the goals have not been shared around. The weight has been on Salah's shoulders. Luis Diaz, 10 Diogo Jota, 5 and Darwin Núñez 4 can hardly be described as prolific. Add a regular flow of goals to Szoboszlai's game, and his contribution to the Merseysiders' cause may start grabbing the attention it should.